Welcome back on Gaming. This is Devin, and we were so close to a Star Wars Battlefront 3. So close. And like before, this game has been canceled for a second time. And we already knew that this game was canceled, but we just didn't know how far along it was, or really even if it was actually being worked on. But now we know, just because there was a developer on Twitter that posted that Star Wars Battlefront 3 was about 2 yards away from the finish line, which is a shame. I really love these Star Wars Battlefront games, whether it was Pandemic developed or or EA developed, and it's really surprising on many different levels. And this Star Wars Battlefront 3 is cursed, and the reason why I say it is, of course, the Pandemic developed ones, the OG Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2. I think everyone's favorite Star Wars Battlefront games. They, of course, were on the Xbox and PlayStation 2, I believe. And back then, there was rumors about Star Wars Battlefront 3 being released, possibly being a PS3 and Xbox 360 game. And that one was canceled. We ended up finding out. I would highly recommend, if you are interested in that, going to there's a lot of channels out there that have done rumor videos or canceled videos, or I think there was even some gameplay at one point of those games as well. But highly recommend looking into that if you're interested. But that was very surprising. And then the other thing that's a little bit surprising, but sort of a joke in a way, is that EA chose the single player game like Jedi Fallen Order over a multiplayer game like Star Wars Battlefront 2, just because we all know that they love milking multiplayer games, and especially trying to get every penny out of you. But of course, it's a joke in a way, just because Jedi Fallen Order did really well, and of course, a lot of people are excited for the sequel. And then Star Wars Battlefront 2 was sort of a joke from the beginning with the loot crate situation, but EA did it themselves. It was never going to succeed the way that it started off. But it's very understandable at that point. But the other sort of surprising thing was that I was very invested in Star Wars Battlefront 2. I really loved playing that game. I put a ton of hours into it on PlayStation 4, and I even played a little bit of it on Xbox as well. But back then, there was just so much going on about DLC and potential sequel, just because at one point, I believe that there was a lot of DLC that was potentially being held for Star Wars Battlefront 3, and then we heard that Star Wars Battlefront 3 was being worked on, and then that there was an issue with EA and Star Wars licensing wise, which we know how that ended up, but at the time was pretty big. And then it just would have been really unbelievable to know that this was pretty far in development. Just because we didn't really hear much about it. We just heard that it was being worked on, canceled, and that. So yeah, like I was saying, is that everything with this information is just very surprising. Not the cancel part, but just how far along it was. And if you haven't already, I would highly recommend playing Star Wars Battlefront 2, just because of course it had a very horrible launch with the loot crates and that, but just all the content that they were coming out with just made the game so much better. And it really became an amazing Star Wars Battlefront game. And I probably would prefer that even over the older ones, just because it ended up being a phenomenal game. And just sort of with that being said, is that it's interesting to wonder like why this actually was canceled. What caused it to be canceled? Just because it couldn't really have been the loot crates or the sort of the outcome, I guess, of Star Wars Battlefront 2, because that game never really did that good. And the loot crate thing, why would they almost finish Star Wars Battlefront 3 and cancel it because of how the game did? because they would have already known that at that point, I would think. I don't really think it has to do with the popularity of Star Wars, just because, I mean, the last DLC for Star Wars Battlefront 2 came out in August 2020. So I would assume that this game was just about to come out or in, far development in 2020. And we already know, sort of how Star Wars was in 2020. So I don't really know if that had really much to do about it, but it would just be very interesting to find out also why this game actually got canceled, just because there's really, I think, no reason for it. And if it was so far in development, why just not have it come out? But maybe someday we'll end up finding out. It'd be interesting to see some gameplay of it at least, because, I mean, if it was that far along, we should, it should be pretty cool gameplay to see. But anyways, let me know in the comments below if you like this, if you like Star Wars Battlefront 2, what your favorite one was, or, are you as surprised as I am with, everything that was sort of revealed now. But, yeah, well, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Good.